Folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us, folks. Jason, of all the shows we have ever done, I'm just going to say it right now. This is my favorite. It's already my favorite, folks, because we are laying out the entire plan to save this country via immigration changes. And Jason, to introduce the show, we even had breaking news that fit right into the topic.
Oh my God. It was funny. Todd and I, we tell the audience that our favorite time of the week, Fridays, Todd and I get to hang out. We don't get to talk a lot all week. We hang out with you guys for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, talking about politics, laughing at some videos, having a good time. And as we were building up today, we were going to go, let's go immigration. We don't need to talk about Israel no more. The Iran thing's over. We're going to talk about immigration. And the winning just keeps coming. I am so excited to share this stuff with you. But before we get going, do us a huge favor. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Anybody watching, whatever platform, Facebook, YouTube, whatnot, that helps us with reach. And then hit the share button. We encourage you, share some of this content with people you might not politically agree with. And finally, drop it in the comment. One of my favorite parts of our show is the engagement that we have with the audience, with the people sharing comments. We already had K-Gun Girl. K-Gun Girl is usually on before we are. Like, I log in and she's already dropped a comment. We got Dee Dee. Thank you so much for being here, Dee Dee. Todd, what else do you have before we kick this off?
I just want to say welcome aboard, everybody. Again, like Jason said, like we say every week, and I don't know if we can say it enough, like this is our favorite show because of our audience. We love engaging with the audience more than I think we do talking with each other here. Like Jason and I can talk off behind the cameras, but talking with you all, hearing from you, hearing from other Americans, letting you know you're not alone. It's the community that makes this podcast so fun. So thanks for joining us. I am just so fired up for this immigration show. I am like Stephen Miller when it comes to immigration. I am a single issue voter. I voted to clean up this mess in America, border security, deportations, immigration changes. And folks, we have a flashback to Rush Limbaugh. I was just in a diaper when Rush Limbaugh was hitting the scenes, and I was blown away that what we talk about now, and we're like, man, this sounds really radical. Rush was talking about it 30 years ago. So this clip is just going to blow you away. But I'm ready to go, Jason. Change it all. Change everything in America.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I got to say, the first thing I'm going to do is say President Trump, one of the promises he made, we should have had the video in the campaign, is you are going to be tired of so much winning. There is going to be so much winning. You're going to be sick of it. And I got to say, President Trump may live on that promise. I mean, you look at this week, he got the Israel-Iran thing handled for now, knock on wood. Positive outcome. The hiring reports are coming in. Inflation's going down. But this week, we're going to do deep dive into huge immigration news, huge news overall. And we got to start with the first thing Todd has pulled up, hot off the presses. There was a case in front of the Supreme Court about birthright citizenship. We addressed it about a month ago. We went through all the details. But here's the thing, and just to level set, they did not rule on the efficacy of birthright citizenship. So the Supreme Court did not say birthright citizenship. We have decided it's not a thing. So that will be like level set that. But what the Trump team was arguing is all these district court injunctions. So one guy brings a case in Maryland. The district court judge could make a ruling saying, yeah, birthright citizenship doesn't count for this guy. But then that ruling would extend to the entire nation. So while birthright citizenship hasn't been decided, this is even huger what they decided, which means all those district court judge things you've been hearing about, hey, here's this, here's that, here's the other thing. And then the judge rules against the Trump team, and then all of a sudden it's a nationwide injunction. That got thrown out today. Todd, I couldn't be more happy.
Rogue activists, and I don't even like to call them judges. They're just woke rogue activists. They no longer get to rule and govern this country. The president, I imagine this, Jason, the president of the United States is going to set the tone for the country. Not a single, lone activist actor out there. Again, not a judge. If you were a judge, you would abide by the Constitution. You would follow precedent. And I love the ruling in here. Amy Coney Barrett, who we've said plenty of nasty things about, actually wrote the majority opinion on this. And she called out Biden's DEI judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and said, just ignore what she said because she has no idea what 2 centuries of immigration precedent and precedent on executive orders do. And she just exposed these woke actors on the Supreme Court, even like, you guys don't care. You don't care about any of this. You're just pushing your agenda. And they got called out for it in this ruling. Everything about this was great.
Yeah, we should almost find that other tweet that showed what Amy Coney Barrett said about Ken Johnny Brown, in her opinion, said something like, we don't need to get into all the legal gobbledygook. And can you read that? That was spectacular.
All right. So this is from Sean Davis in her majority opinion, for the Supreme Court nuking universal injunctions. Again, this cannot be stressed enough. We are done with these rogue judges after the Supreme Court 6-3 ruling. And Jason, how many liberal judges are on the Supreme Court? 3.
What's that?
And they all ruled against Trump. Weird how that worked out in this case here. But
funny.
Coney Barrett writes, we will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. That is such a smart way to say Ketanji Brown Jackson cares not at all about law, Constitution, in America. My gosh.
Can you imagine Amy Coney Barrett saying that about Ketanji Brown Jackson? And I was reading a little bit before about some of the clips from her thing where she's talking about like legal gobbledygook. Amy Coney Barrett, we think you're terrible. I love what you just did, which will be a reoccurring theme. Wait till you see the Ron DeSantis video we're gonna share with you. It is spectacular.
Oh, Jason, I got a gift for you.
Oh, there you go.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win so much. I love you. Thank you.
Oh my God. And another breaking news, my wife texted me. So some of the Rumble or some of the chat stuff doesn't show in, but oh my God, Dee Dee gave us a $50 super chat. Dee Dee, thank you so much. We love you. Message Todd sometime. He does the e-com store. We want to send you a hat, a shirt, something. We appreciate you tuning in, but financial support is so appreciated.
Dee
and
Dee,
I got to say, just to go through
Twitter.
some of these comments here.
Oh, can I Dee Dee, you follow me on the Twitter now. Send me a message. Give me your address. I won't publicize it. I'll delete it once you send it to me, but I will send you a gift. Go to this AmericanTribuneStore.com. And for all of our audience out there, we make a couple bucks on this. It's not really to monetize. It's just to help you share some merch from us. Go to the AmericanTribuneStore.com. Dee Dee, scroll through some of the stuff on there. Tell me what you like. Give me your address. We will send that to you for free. Thank you so much.
And once you get her address, if Dee Dee won't pick, just send her a hat and a shirt. She can wear her American Tribune hat or American Tribune Live hat like we do. But just go through some of these comments here. I'm with Trump all the way through. Oh, yeah, Pat, we're with you. What really needs to happen is to eliminate all the illegals and Muslims out of the United States before they turn our country into a blank hole like Germany, France.
Buckle up, James.
I'm going to say some of this we're going to talk about in the Rumble only part. If you don't like, Facebook won't let us go into some of that. So that's why we do the first hour of the show on Facebook. And then we do Rumble only, which asks the folks over there, Rumble only is where the party's at. So we're going to dive into that after we go through the first part of the show. Steven's with us too. I never get sick of winning. Better than losing. Not everybody gets a trophy. I want first place. Giddy up. What else? There's another one here. Birthright is one thing, but illegals should not be eligible for any benefits for 5 years after just having a child. It is. Oh, and Dee Dee confirmed. You're getting Dee Dee's address, Todd.
I'm looking. I am refreshing my messages on the Twitter.
I'm saying, I'm going to vote coffee mug and hat for sure. But
we got some good coffee mugs.
You're so kind. You're so kind. We appreciate it. And like I say, we most appreciate you tuning in and joining in and chatting every Friday. But Todd, what do you want to talk about on the executive order on birthright?
I just wanted to kind of bookend our conversation on birthright citizenship. Again, the Supreme Court didn't say full steam ahead on this yet. It simply said you can't have some rogue activist that pretends to be a judge get in the way of Trump's America First agenda, or the Constitution for that matter, as Amy Coney Barrett called out Ketanji Brown Jackson. But the executive order on birthright citizenship, Trump dropped this in January. So when he got into office, he was signing left and right, actually signing, I should point out. And he simply said, this executive order would... No, he didn't have an auto pen. We actually have video of him signing. He wants to deny citizenship to persons born from a mother who is unlawfully present in the United States, and the father was not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth, or when that person's mother's presence in the United States at the time of said person's birth was lawful but temporary. That's also huge. And the father was not a U.S. citizen or LPR at the time of said person's birth. So this is what Trump is looking to do: end birthright citizenship altogether with this EO. Again, the Supreme Court didn't rule on the EO, but we are paving the way now to make this happen.
Yeah, I got to say, too, I was flashing up some of the chats. We got great engagement with Steve. I wish I had help, but I'm broke. Steve, we appreciate you tuning in and sharing the show and the comment. Todd and I work together. We on digital marketing. We have a business together. We do this for the good, to educate, to have some fun with like-minded people. And it's funny, like my neighbor I found out tuned in, and she stopped over, brought me some sourdough bread, and she works weird hours and whatnot. And it's like the one thing she said that really struck me, she's like, it's nice to know there's like-minded people who aren't crazy in this world. And when Todd and I started doing this podcast that 3 people watched a year ago, or 2 years ago, like that was what we said. Like, we want to create a space where like-minded people can get some news, have some fun, and know you're not alone. You are the normal one. You are the person who loves America, who understands this is the greatest country in the history of mankind, and be thankful and proud for that. So prayers out to you, Stephen. We love and appreciate you tuning in.
And I'm going to say to Steve and all the Steves out there, we appreciate what Dee Dee did. We're not asking everyone to give us money here. We're not begging for money. We don't want you to give us money if you can't afford it. Just hit the like button. Share the content with people. If you want to help us out here, that's the best way to help this podcast. Help us get more reach, open up more eyes, change more minds, get some more exposure. But Steve, if you can hit the like button, that is more than enough. Thanks for tuning in, though. We appreciate you watching, appreciate you commenting here. And Steve's already back in the comment section. Thank God President Trump is cleaning up some of the pollution in this country. He says pollution much more nicely. I have other words to describe how this country is headed. But Steve, thanks for the comment.
Yeah, some of that will have to get a little more explicit on the Rumble only, because it is incredible. But to wrap up this first point, so much winning. This is a great ruling. I think we even predicted it if you go back and watch the tape. Understand this doesn't stop birthright citizenship. That will still be a case that will need to be decided, whether or not birthright citizenship is valid. So I just want to make sure you're educated, because people are going to spread not correct information. His executive order has not been ruled on. That still needs to happen. But this is even bigger, because this means all of those judges that are stopping nationwide injunctions can't do that. What it'll force them to do is put together a class action suit and actually get multiple judges to sign off on it and do it. So huge win, bigger than even birthright citizenship. Trump can go forward with his agenda. We love it.
All right, Jason, I just want to head over to Rumble for a second. We got Fally in the chat. Good morning, Fally. We got Paul in the chat. Good morning, Paul. And folks, if you ignore my mug today. This was a Christmas gift. It's a little gnome.
What is that?
Folks, I was home alone this week. I had an injured kid. So I'm going to get to wrong things question in a second. So I didn't do the dishes. Sue me. I didn't do the dishes this week. So I'm resorting to the last mug I could find today. My mom gave that to me, because moms give great gifts. But go to splitrockcoffee.com, use promo code TOD10 for instant savings. Subscribe and save today. Paul with Split Rock Coffee, locally owned here in Minnesota, where we live under Tim Walz's tyranny. Disabled, veteran-owned, though. Splitrockcoffee.com, promo code TOD10. We got Kagan Girl saying hello to Paul. And Wrong Think's in the chat. Good morning, Wrong Think. Did I miss a Tuesday show? I can't find it on Rumble. I normally do a Tuesday show, folks. I do Tuesday and Thursday solo. I had a kid that we were in the ER on Sunday, didn't get better all week, so no daycare for kiddo, which meant no show this week. But I will be back in the hot seat on Tuesday, Wrong Think, if you're looking for that show again.
I was going to say, as a fun aside, so Todd was like, oh, my kid got hurt, and then he had to deal with like horrible like ER trip, and then like the doctor couldn't fix it, and he ended up having like the neighbor who does homeopathic healing who actually
we can't talk about that on Facebook either. Maybe on a separate show I'll do Rumble only and talk about homeopathy.
Oh my gosh.
Kiddo is great though. Kiddo is great.
The next story we got to travel into, Ron DeSantis, we have been extremely critical of. We actually did multiple shows how Ron DeSantis got bought out by the Bushies, got bought out by the big money conservatives. And it broke my heart because Ron DeSantis is one of the kind of guy who seemed like a good guy till he sold out. He was one of the founders of the Freedom Caucus when he was in the House. He was doing a good job as governor of Florida. These big money guys came up to him and said, like, hey, join us. And we were not having it. Can I just say, too, how proud are we? Todd's got his own promo code, Todd10. And, but anyway, so Ron DeSantis, but he does some things in Florida that are really good. And we have to give praise. And I don't know how many have heard of this story. I was telling my wife when I saw this video, Jen came up, she works at home, and I'm like, check this out. This is the coolest. Because like a week ago, we heard word and we had some videos going around about alligator Alcatraz. Do you want to explain what alligator Alcatraz is, Todd?
Yeah, we should have pulled up that video too. But imagine Alcatraz. It's on an island in San Francisco. But now picture an Alcatraz in Florida with the swamp and the Everglades around it. And so DeSantis says, you know what? I'm going to build a prison right in the middle. And if these guys want to try to escape, that's fine. But they're going to have to run through 50 miles in any direction through alligators and snakes and swamp life and whatever else lives in those places now, since everyone releases their pets down there, apparently. But good luck. Good luck, guys. We're going to lock you in here. We're going to detain you in here. You can try to escape. You either swim through shark-infested waters in San Francisco Bay, or you have to deal with the alligators. And if it happens, it happens, I guess. I mean, I'm almost rooting for an escape at this point, Jason. But Ron DeSantis here. Oh, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I was going to say, we might just need to play this whole clip. But when this first came out, I am used to a government, and we live in Minnesota, like both Todd and I do, and the federal government, that you say you're going to get something done. And it's like, pack a lunch. Maybe this gets done in like 3 years, right? Or 5 years. And we just saw this announced. What was it, like last week?
Yeah, this week even.
Right? Yeah, it might have even been this week. And then this morning, play the video. This just blew me away.
Yeah, and I do got to add, this is for immigrants, which is why it's tied into the show and why we love it so much, because Ron DeSantis says, I'm rounding you guys all up, which is what they should all do.
No problem. But all the stuff that goes into intake and processing of illegals, you're seeing this put up. This is all 24 hours. 24 hours from now, you're going to see even more. And by Tuesday, this will be able to have intake of illegals.
And you've thought of everything. Okay, so there are 4 gigantic tents. Let's come on over here, Governor. And people are thinking, okay, you're in the middle of the Everglades. It's hot. That would explain why you've got this bank of air conditioners here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be, illegals will come in, they'll be processed. There'll be places for them to be housed. You'll have an ability for food. You'll have an ability for them to consult legal rights if they have that, because there is a process that's involved with this. So this is really everything. This is going to be a self-contained little area. And then, of course, you also have stuff for the staff that work here. So we've got laundry facilities, we've got showers, we've got, obviously, there you see the shower and bath facilities.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Where do you go to get a bunch of bathrooms like that?
Well, so this is being done by the Division of Emergency Management. So when we have a hurricane, like we would actually have people stage here for hurricane response normally, anyways, but we have it. When we have all the linemen come in to do the power, we have to set up little areas for them. And so you have all this type of stuff. So this is not our first rodeo. The detainee illegal alien mission's a little bit different, and the deportations, but logistics, we know how to do that.
Right, and you know, for people thinking, okay, they're gonna put the migrants on this hot asphalt, it looks like you're building a subfloor, and in fact, some guys are putting down the plywood.
Yeah, no, look, this will be, I mean, there's not going to be anything that they're hurting for anything. There'll be AC. There'll be things that everybody needs. There's medical here. So it's being done right. It's being done by the book.
Sounds like life is almost too good for those criminal aliens, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we're, I got to be really careful what I say on some of these platforms, YouTube, Face. As far as I'm concerned, if you're here illegally, go home. Like, you should be treated like I would be treated if I went to a Minnesota Twins game and was in the stadium illegally because I didn't buy a ticket. If that happened, the security would forcefully remove me. My due process would be, where's your ticket? Okay, go home. And they would, if I chose not to leave, they would physically remove me and throw me out in the street in downtown Minneapolis, which might have been Beirut. So yeah, these illegals getting down here, air conditioning, food, bathrooms, temporary structure, probably far too kind. I would be just fine, just dropping them on a plane, sending them home. But good first step, though.
Yeah, and Francis says the same thing. Good step for atonement for DeSantis. Such an interesting story. Great governor, awful presidential candidate. Great governor again. Maybe he has a little life left in him in 2028. But yeah, these illegals need to go home. This whole process, I still haven't had an explanation, Jason. I've asked this every week on the show, basically. What is due process for an illegal alien? Why all these hoops? Are you a citizen of this country? Did you come here lawfully? No? There you go. Like, that's your due process right there. And we did the story, we compared it when the jailbreak occurred in New Orleans and these 10 guys escaped. If you capture an escaped convict, he doesn't get due process again. He just goes back to jail. Like, if I capture you illegally in this country, you don't need due process. You just get sent back to your home country. Like, what is this whole due process for illegals even?
Well, and I got to say, why is everybody bitching about sending them home? Like, I saw this meme that just struck me as funny. It's like, for all the people calling, saying they're kidnapping foreigners in the country, no other definition would you say you kidnap people and then send them home. Like, if I'm in Guatemala and I get kidnapped by a drug cartel, they are not sending me back to my house in Minnesota. Like, that is not kidnapping. Kidnapping would mean they're throwing me in a building, they're cutting off an ear, they're doing something. Why are these people worried about sending people back to their home country? It is like, if anything, we should send them there and give them a bill for the flight, because like, you're here illegally. I don't even know.
And I got to touch. Oh, go for it, Jason.
Oh, no, go for it.
I was going to touch on this. I like what DeSantis is doing here. This is what makes sense, though. And I know a couple years ago, we were all like, good for him for sending them to Martha's Vineyard here. That'll really expose the libs. And it was a great move on a small scale. But I don't want that anymore. And I don't think DeSantis is going to do that. He made his point. I don't want to ship them around the country. I want them all shipped out of the country. So I loved what he did at the time to expose the wokies on Martha's Vineyard that said no humans illegal, except you can't live on our precious white liberal rich island. That was fine. But we're at the point now where they just all need to go home. I don't care if they're in a red state, blue state. I don't want them bussing around the country. I want them flying home, and I want them gone forever.
Well, yeah, and I got to say, too, I don't care if they're black, brown, blue, white, what race, what ethnicity, what sexual orientation. If you're here illegally, go home. Like, this is a pretty simple thing. Any of these countries that we want to give asylum to people for, because their country is so dangerous they can't be in, we should just militarily occupy them. In my, like, if your country is so bad that you need to be a refugee from that country, we need to go in and install a temporary government. Like, these are people from Mexico and Central America. It is ridiculous. Deporting all Muslims.
I was going to say, Nanette, you would belong on Rumble. Go to rumble.com, look for the American Tribune. We will be talking about this. We've got the Mamdani clips, or however you say his name, this Ugandan socialist communist that hates America. We will be talking about his primary win in New York City here. But Nanette, this comment belongs on Rumble. Rumble.com, the American Tribune. We will come back to this, but we can't talk about it on Facebook.
Oh, my gosh. I got to say, too, I want to make one more point before we move on to the next subject, which, are we doing Rush Limbaugh next?
We got to get to Rush.
I love
it's
Rush
so good.
Limbaugh. So good. Ron DeSantis made an interesting point where he said, we understand logistics. And I mean, it wasn't the point of what he was making. This is kind of an aside. I think a critical difference between the right and the left is the right understands how things work, how things function, how things, how to get things done. Like Paul Reese in the comments, Paul Reese, like, he runs a business. Like, he has the mental wherewithal to figure out how to make coffee, how to roast it, how to import it, how to sell it, how to ship it. He understands how to make things work. We don't get lost on this like fairy tale. Oh, it'd be nice if this would be a thing or that would be a thing. Conservatives by nature, we are the ones who go do the work and who come up with the appropriate plans that can be executed. And that's why Ron DeSantis, like right now in California, where all those fires were, everybody was talking about, the Palisades or whatnot and the fire hydrant story. They have still built like no houses. They have like 4 building permits when last I saw, which was about a week ago, for houses. These houses have been burned down in California. Ron DeSantis, in a week or two, has put together and executed this concept of Alligator Alley, which is amazing. And that's what makes conservatives and conservative politicians so much better than liberals. Is liberal in California, they're going to be sitting there. Karen Bass is going to be talking about what she's going to do in equity for 4 more years, while LA still has city blocks burned down. That's why I love to be a conservative.
Great point. And I'm also watching the video and I'm still waiting to see the walls. I assume they just did like a chain link fence, but like minimal security, it looks like. And yeah, guards and fencing to the extent. But again, good luck if you want to run away and deal with the Everglades swamp on any direction here. I love it. I love everything about this. And great point, Jason. We just get stuff done. We know how it needs to be done. We know what should be done, and we execute.
Yes. And I got to say, speaking of getting things done, with these injunctions removed, with things happening, like President Trump will get to put his pedal to the metal. Hopefully the big, beautiful bill gets passed. I don't want to get sidetracked on that this week. They say they're working on it this weekend. There's a lot of news coming out about it. I'm just going to hope and pray that Congress does the right thing, which generally they don't. But today, like we see all that stuff happening. We're not going into it because what Todd and I want to talk about, and this is an interesting point. I think most Americans agree every violent criminal illegal should go home. It's what is kind of called an 80-20 issue. 80% of Americans universally agree with that. The second bucket where there starts to get more disagreement, should all illegals go home? Todd and I are of the opinion all illegals should go home. I think many in our audience let us know, should all illegals go home? I think that's a valid. I think you're getting more to a 50-50 issue than an 80-20 issue. Would you agree with that assessment, Todd?
I think as we see the stories come out and we see Washington fail us, more and more Americans are going to come to the side of just like, maybe it's not such a great idea. And you'll always have people, no human's illegal. They just want to be here, whatever. But if you want to save this country, there are things worth saving. And that is the history, the culture, the values, the heritage. And that doesn't happen with even legal immigrants here. So the conversation, it's already shifted the Overton window. It's already gone from we shouldn't have illegals and legal immigration. Let's clean up the system. The H-1B thing blew up. I think we are now shifting even further, saying, let's talk about what legal immigration looks like in this country. And I'm here for it, folks. My case is simple. Stop any form of immigration to this country, because even if you bring in legal immigrants, you are still changing the country culturally, demographically, with values. The political system changes as more immigrants come in. That is why Democrats love immigrants, legal and illegal, because these people bring in different value systems. And again, you can't have a unique country that is multicultural. It's never worked and it will never work. You can't share different languages. You can't share different backgrounds. You have to be unified in your approach about America. And it doesn't happen with any form of immigrant. So as far as I'm concerned, and Russia's going to make the case here, all immigration needs to be stopped. And I would go a step further, saying they don't get to vote. They don't get to hold office. I don't care if you're legal, illegal, child, anyone connected to immigrants should not have a say in this system until they have been fully immersed in the system.
Yeah, I got to say, should we, looks like in the chat, everybody's talking about Francis, all legals. Franklin, yes, all of them. Dee Dee, all illegals. Pamela, I think all illegals should go home. Steve has an interesting reply. Send them home and watch the economy go to blank. Not sure what he's saying. Like, without illegal immigrants, America can't have a thriving economy. Interesting. Dan, all go home. So everybody agrees violent criminals all go home, or most people. Most of our audience agrees all legals should go home. So we are transitioning into the next bucket. Let's talk about legal immigrants And let's hear what Rush Limbaugh had to say 30 years ago.
Everybody's making immigration proposals these days. Let me add mine to the mix. Call it the Limbaugh laws. First, you immigrate to our country, you have to speak the native language. You have to be a professional or an investor. No unskilled workers allowed. Also, there'll be no special bilingual programs in the schools with the Limbaugh laws, no special ballots for elections, no government business will be conducted in your language. Foreigners will not have the right to vote or hold political office. If you're in our country, you cannot be a burden to taxpayers. You are not entitled to welfare or food stamps or other government goodies. You can come if you invest here, an amount equal to 40,000 times a daily minimum wage. If not, stay home. But if you want to buy land, it'll be restricted. No waterfront, for instance, and as a foreigner, you have to relinquish individual rights to the property. And another thing, you don't have the right to protest. You're allowed no demonstrations, no foreign flag waving, no political organizing, no...
He was so far ahead of his time on that last point. What did we just go through in Los Angeles?
Oh, my God.
bad-mouthing our president or his policies. You're a foreigner. Shut your mouth or get out. And if you come here illegally, you're going to jail. Now, you think the Limbaugh laws are harsh?
Now I was going to say, folks, let us know in the chat. What do you think? Rush Limbaugh 30 years ago. We've talked about it on the show. If you're going to come here, speak the language. Like, if I go to any other country, I will speak the language. You know, you have to be a productive member of our society if you're going to do it. I don't like policing speech, but I think there is a place that you do not invite people into your country who are going to say, we need to fundamentally change the country sucks, blah, blah, blah. Why would you bring those people into your country? It makes no sense. And Rush was so ahead of his time, but should we play the punchline, Todd?
Oh, this is where it gets good.
Well, every one of the laws I just mentioned are actual laws of Mexico today. That's how the Mexican government handles immigrants to their country. Yet Mexicans come here illegally and protest in our streets. How do you say double standard in Spanish? How about no mas?
God, he's good. Oh, man, the kicker there. Turns out other countries have common sense laws when it comes to immigration. But you're a racist, Jason. You are a racist, you're a bigot, you're a xenophobe, you're a hater, you're a right-wing terrorist because you want the same laws as Mexico.
Remarkable. And it's funny, this one kind of hits close to home to me because I got family member who's like, we might need to leave the country because Donald Trump is a Nazi and a fascist government. I'm like, okay, cool. Where are you going to go? So you start looking at where you're going to go. So they want to go, there's some European countries that have some good socialist programs. Well, generally speaking, they're strongly Judeo-Christian. They have abortion limits. They have strong national unity because they're all kind of Judeo-Christians who share many of the same values. So like all that stuff you hate about America, that's what makes it thrive, because you can't have a successful nation unless everybody can agree on basic principles. Okay, so you really want to go there. That's like when Rosie O'Donnell went to like Ireland. Ireland used to have strict immigration. It was almost all white people. It was all Christians. There was not a lot. It's like all the stuff you were here complaining about, you went to a place that has a relatively nice country because of all those things. Or do you want to go to some third world hellhole? Do you want to go to South Africa? Like, let me know how that works out for you. And then the kicker is, like, when they go there, it's like part of that process with most of these countries are they're like, what are you going to bring to Sweden? And it's like, well, I'm an atheist. I'm unemployed. I have no advanced training. I have no advanced job skills. I might need public assistance. Like all the things that just aren't enough in America. And like these countries are going to look at you like and laugh. Like, why on earth? How would you be a net benefit to our country? Why would we let you in?
Yeah, it's just crazy how long we've been doing this. Wrong Thing says George Putnam had the biggest radio show in LA from the right, talked about illegals daily in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. It is interesting, Jason, because Clinton kind of made some horrible deals, but the national conversation, this didn't sound so extreme, I don't think, in the 90s, just based on people's understanding of immigration in this country. And we kind of tacitly agreed, like, yeah, we'll have a few million illegals in this country, do some labor here. That's the end of it. And then the last 20 and 30 years, with the left pushing so hard with open borders and no human is illegal here, I almost think this lands on ears harsher today than it did when he said it. That's how far we have to fight back to gain this ground.
Yeah, it's funny because when Rush was making these comments, and I got to say, finally, Kev leaves from over on Steve Bannon's show and makes it over here, and he shows up to Rush Limbaugh. Like,
Perfect
Kevin,
time.
how great is your day with Rush Limbaugh? And he's like, God, I should have been here. Maybe if you set your alarm like Dee Dee and K-Gun Girl and got here on time, you would have got to see Rush Limbaugh too. But yeah, so 30 years ago when Rush was saying this was about 30 million illegals ago. This was after Reagan made the ill-advised move of granting citizenship, just destroying California. And he did it because there were promised immigration changes that never came. I mean, think of how many illegals have come in since Rush Limbaugh said it. And my God, I wish we would have listened to Rush Limbaugh back then.
But I see things happening with birthright. Wouldn't it be marvelous when you go to like the Minnesota DMV, you don't have 50 languages like Somali and Hmong and Spanish and Chinese and whatever else they have? Like, no, you're in America. You can fill out a form in English or don't fill it out, or learn English and then fill it out. I have never understood. No one has ever made the claim, like, why do we need this?
Well, it was funny too, because we're going to dive into the New York mayoral contest, and Andrew Cuomo, when he was debasing himself, trying to get the multicultural votes, he wore a turban at this thing. We should find it because it's so ridiculous. And he was bragging to this Arab group saying, we speak 187 languages in New York schools. We are multicultural. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So you're getting up to voters and saying, hey, you know what's great? We have to oh my God, is it the video?
This is the video.
Oh, let's play this.
New York. We are the capital of diversity. 180 languages spoken in our school system. 180 different languages, people from all across the world. That makes us stronger, not weaker.
How humiliating to put that on. I'm glad he lost. We will talk about Mamdani's victory, but there were no good options. Cuomo is just a political hack that, I don't even know if I can say this on Facebook. I'll save the other comments for Cuomo on Rumble as well, but just yikes. All this is yikes. And no, diversity is never our strength. We have proven diversity is not our strength.
But yeah, we'll talk about Cuomo debasing himself, but Kev hits nail on the head.
Yeah, I was going to say something like that too, Kev. I didn't want to say the M word on Facebook.
Right. But imagine debasing yourself so badly that you're throwing on the turban, going to this thing. Like, talk about being a political prostitute. Can you imagine Donald Trump put on maybe a McDonald's uniform, but he still had, he would never go throw a turban on. Are you kidding me?
Well, he did that to meme Kamala Harris, too. He didn't do that to debase himself. And our business partner, Will Tanner, I think his best tweet ever was commentary on how Donald Trump still wore a suit to do the McDonald's gig as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to pull that back up.
And then you get to Cuomo. The point of this is, you really think having 180 languages spoken in your schools is a strength? Now, these people aren't learning Latin or something key. And I'm not saying learning a second or third language is bad, but you're talking these schools need to manage 180 languages to instruct their children. Todd, you worked in education. How's that going to work?
It fails miserably, and the people that fail the most, number one, these kids aren't really learning it. But number two, you as an American citizen who pay property taxes, income taxes, sales taxes, all sorts of taxes to fund these woke government indoctrination camps, your kid is stuck in a large class. And when I was in Brooklyn Center, I've shared this story before, but we had six English language learner teachers, one per grade level. And all they did was pull out small groups of kids all day long. They got paid the same as a regular classroom teacher with half the workload, not even half, less than half. And so these little guys that don't know English get special instruction from these ELL teachers. They get to do their little fun and games, and this teacher's getting paid the same with all the same benefits. Meanwhile, your kid that already speaks English is stuck in a classroom that's gone to hell anyways with all the behavior problems and the indoctrination. But your little guy sits there all day long, gets ignored in the back of the room so we can focus on behaviors, focus on teaching other kids English. Why do we want that? Like, as I would often look at these parents and say, why are you here? This poor little white kid that gets ignored all day long because they do their job, they don't make problems, they already know what to do. Just ignore it all day long. This is not a strength. And Jason, I'm really tired. I actually saw a post on Twitter too from someone that said, I grew up with a severely autistic kid, and it's made me hate pandering to the lowest common denominator even more, because when you're just a normal person with marginal skills and abilities, it doesn't cause problems. You are told that everything else is normal, pandering is normal, like, and you get left behind. We have to stop appealing to the people with the greatest needs, because you're not elevating them. You're just bringing down everybody else. And no, this is not inhumane. Like, yeah, we got to figure out the special ed populations. If you've got kids that don't speak English, you got to figure it out, but not at the expense of everybody else. This is not normal behavior.
Yeah, and once again, let's go back to the Ron DeSantis thought for a second. We know how to get things done. We understand logistics, right? I'm a business owner. Todd's a business owner. I worked in retail. He worked in education. Our audience is composed of truck drivers and people of all walks of life. Like, if you have ever driven a truck or loaded a truck, you understand the steps involved, right? Now, if you go to an education system in New York and say, you know what we need to add to our logistics? Let's add speaking 180 languages to this process. So you need teachers that can speak it. You need people that can translate it. You need instruction that you can administer in those languages. So now you need multiple copies of textbooks as well as personnel. Like, an already failing, overtaxed education system, trying to dovetail in 180 languages into them is the most, I was going to say the R word, most idiotic idea ever. I mean, it shouldn't even be Spanish. And I think it was Dee earlier. I mean, I don't have to hit 2 for Spanish. Like, I am getting my real ID in case I fly anywhere. I don't have one yet. I got a passport that expires at the end of the year. And I went to fill out the forms on the DMV's website. And it's like, why does the Minnesota, we are Scandinavians. Like, why do we have 12 languages on these forms I've got to fill out? And don't even get me talking about why is there 12 genders? I didn't even know what some of them were. And but back to what we're talking about with illegals. If you come here, speak English. Like, be respectful. I would never go to Germany and think I could go to their cities and say, hey, you need to speak English. I mean, if I'm a tourist, yeah, maybe I don't learn that much German, but I would still learn enough to be functional. But if I'm going to live there as a citizen, use your roads, like, go to your schools, eat your food, receive public assistance, speaking the language is not too much to ask for.
Oh gosh, I'm so fired up about all this. The entitlement, the pandering, the lowest common denominator, it's all got to end. And that's why, Jason, I got to make this point again. I want them all gone, and I want to stop anyone else new from coming in. I'm not a bigot. I'm not a racist. I just want to put my country first and my country's citizens first. I don't know how you clean up the mess already. We got too many legal immigrants in here. You can't deport them. Can't change that fact, but you can slow the roll here just a little bit, please.
Oh my gosh. And breaking news. I just dropped in the private chat, Todd. Can you pull up the Chuck Callisto tweet?
Yeah,
Chuck Callisto, by the way, friend of the show. We love Chuck Callisto. Oh my God. We're going to have some stuff going on after the thing. So far in rulings today, President Trump birthright citizenship ban is now in effect. So, and understand too, that extends to other district court injunctions, largely ending the national injunctions by federal bench judges. So that's done. Another ruling came out that parents are allowed to opt their kids out of LGBTQ propaganda. What that means is if your school is teaching the LGBTQ stuff, you can pull your students out of that class. So, hey, it's kind of like when I was a kid, they were teaching sex ed. They would tell the parents, like, hey, this week we're teaching sex ed. If you don't want your kid to learn it, like, we'll send them to study hall for this hour. That now it gets passed. And can you believe it? Schools were saying you couldn't pull your kids out of those classes.
I was just going to say, isn't it amazing that you, as a parent, had to ask permission to not have your kids taught stuff, and then you could be denied that permission. Like, who's in charge of the kids? The school system, the government, or you as the parent? That we had to get an injunction on that is just absolutely insane.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that because I don't know if people understand this point. Because this case was these parents went to their school and said, I don't want little Timmy and Billy in class. You're teaching these topics which are against our faith. So we don't want them to have to sit through that. Can they go to study hall for the hour? The school said no.
I will tell you, I had these conversations and we cover it up in this just grotesque language. So I experienced this. A parent comes in, says, I've got concerns about what my kid's learning at school. They came home and said this or that happened today. They let Timmy wear a dress and we had to talk about, Timmy's non-binary status for an hour. And every administrator, I kid you not, even if you didn't believe it, but again, I was providing for a family. I had to spread the lies. And that's when I was like, I can't be the evil guy anymore. I'm quitting this. And I'm going to the American Tribune and Freedom from the Press. But you would say, well, we're not teaching anything evil. We're teaching inclusivity. We're just welcoming everybody in the space. It's good to learn about other people's differences. We're all unique in our own way. And you just cover all up this garbage and you said, we don't have the space to put them somewhere else. This is good that they're learning this. We're teaching them humanity and acceptance and tolerance of everything. Why wouldn't you want your kid to be exposed to that? And the school was basically say, like, screw off. Like, I don't care what you feel about. And then this is the sister-in-law story, Jason. You know what they said to me in my own text, and this is what we would say to parents in the school system. If you don't agree with what we're teaching in school, you just have conversations at home and you teach them whatever you want at home. But when you come to school, this is what we're learning because we're raising good people here. They were the parents, and I should have found these clips circulating the internet, but you've got educators and union people now, union hospitals, basically saying, like, we're in charge of the kids. We're going to raise the kids. And that's how they feel. They think they're better than you as the parent. They know better. They're smarter. They're better people. So they supersede your parental rights. Again, I'm astounded that it came to this, that we needed a court to step in and say, like, no, parents can decide. But that's where we are. People don't realize what is happening in the public school system.
Oh, my gosh. And that's why kids come out so bad. And, like, let's be fair. I don't think you need to have a class saying Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. And if you follow the way of the Bible, like, your soul will be saved. I would enjoy that. I would like that. But in our country, I don't think that has a place in school. Just like I don't think there's a place in school to say, hey, you know what? Boys can be girls. Like, I don't think that either of those have a place in school. That's just my opinion.
These lefties will say religion doesn't belong in school. Christianity doesn't belong in school. Separation of church and state. And then they impose their own worldview, which is a religion. This woke stuff is a religion of them. But that's fine. It's not religious. This is just good people. No, that is your religion. You can't say Christianity can't be taught, and then this religious can.
Yeah, and then the next point on Chuck's tweet, someday we should get Chuck on one of these. It'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Chuck's a great guy. He's a spaz. He's so funny, too, because, like, we'll chat a lot, and then he'll be like, oh, let me get back to you. And then I'll hear from him, like, 3 weeks later. And he'll be like, oh, man, I'm sorry I got so busy. And I'm like, Chuck, it's all good. But he's just funny. SCOTUS rules in favor of states' right to require age verification to access adult websites. I'm going to have a controversial opinion on this. I think porn is part of what's ruining our country. I think the access to pornography and inappropriate things, and I might be an old fuddy-dud for feeling that way, but I think, like, you watch even what's become socially acceptable. You watch, like, a music award show where people show up practically naked and perform, like, simulated sex acts on stage, like, totally out of bounds. And I'm glad that they're doing that step. I worry about the overreach of the government, where they're going to be, like, controlling what websites you can access. So I'm conflicted, but we need to find a way to root out some of the degradation of society.
I want to chime in on that, Jason. I am conflicted about both of these, actually, largely ending national injunctions by federal bench judges. If not for Eileen Cannon in Florida in, 2022, we would still be wearing masks on airplanes, or we would have until Trump was elected. So there's a time and a place for a judge saying, like, this is insane and overreach. Same thing with your point here. So right now they restrict access to this website. What is the progression to North Korea's ban on all websites? But I'm going to say this. This is the right decision as it relates to this. And, like, what other alternatives do we have? Like, not issuing this? So we are in charge. We make the rules. Our side has to be in control. And as long as they are in control, I don't see this going any further. But I'm with you. I mean, this doesn't go far enough. You can still access, like, go to Netflix. Like, the content that a Netflix produces, and you've got women taking their shirts off, and like every show nowadays, kids have access to that still. This is a huge problem, and I want laws to set boundaries on moral issues. I don't want kids having access to anything like this. I want it to go farther. I want more stringent controls on these Hulus and these Netflixes and these YouTubes. You can get around, I imagine, this pretty easily as a kid. Kids are smart. Kids are going to figure out how to access these sites, but it is all disastrous to them, and I want to protect the kids at all costs. So good first step, age verification. I'm imagining kids will figure out how to get around that as well, but it's all disastrous for these little kids' minds. It all needs to be banned and all of it stopped. And I am fine imposing the tyrannical dictatorial hammer on these places. Like, no, you can't produce this content anymore. Kids have access to it. No good.
Oh my gosh. And just to bring up a couple, all this stuff's happening in real time. So we're trying to bring it to you. We're going off topic a little bit. So in the entire 20th century, the number of national injunctions issued by district judges to limit the policy of a sitting president was 20. So the entire century, there were 20 rulings that stopped a president's injunction across a nation. Guess how many Trump has had? Let us know in the comments. 20 in the entire 20th century. And how many has President Trump had so far?
Take the over.
Take the over. Over 100. In like 6 months of being president, Donald Trump has had 5 times more injunctions than judges have issued in the entire 20th century. That ended today. And it sounds like Trump's going to have a press conference. I don't know. We might find it or not. Oh, this is so exciting.
It's a great day. Yeah, and I got corrected here, Jason. I wasn't respectful enough. It is the future Supreme Court Justice Cannon. I just called her Eileen Cannon. I got a little casual with my language. Thanks for calling me out, Kev.
I was going to say, Kev, that's why we need you here on time. Like, I saw you were running errands, you were doing things. For those who don't know, Kev probably knows enough to be on the show with us. Like, he's pretty well informed on some of these things. And it's funny when I don't know a name. Like, I do Wayne Dupree's podcast during the week. When I don't know a name of somebody or something, I'll be like, Kev will know. And he'll drop it in the chat. It's really kind of funny.
Also, Kev is painting just a horrible image in my head here. He wants Ketanji Brown Jackson having a pillow fight in a nightie. I cannot erase that nightmare from my thoughts now.
Oh, my gosh. So just another thing to break down this court. So what the ruling was, Monterey County School Board wanted to use LGBTQ storybooks, and parents wanted to opt out of these storybooks. So you've got your young kids sitting there. Okay, little Susie, who's 4, let me read you My Two Dads. And parents are like, yeah, can we read them like Goodnight Moon or something instead? And these teachers are like, no. We need to read them My Two Dads. And I wouldn't expect that we would let them read like any of that stuff. Can't we just do kids' books? Like, oh my God. And then I saw a take from a Supreme Court expert. We were talking about how Amy Coney Barrett slammed Ketanji Brown. A quote from Supreme Court expert. He said, "This is an unbelievable bloodbath for KBJ. It's really a huge problem for the court to have one of 9 members essentially intellectually disabled from even adequately faking the ability to perform the job." Wow. That's incredible.
It doesn't matter how smart they are. They have an agenda that it'll always be first. Agenda first here. But Ketanji Brown Jackson isn't even thinking about this on her own. She has a staff. She has clerks. And they all sat down and they made their argument. And I assume they are ignorant of the real issues anyways, but they also don't care how ignorant they are because no. It's bad that we're going to protect this country from immigrants. So let's just focus on immigration. Agenda first. But again, it should frighten everybody that, again, clerks, staff, herself, a Supreme Court justice, had no concept of precedent, constitutional issues, 2 centuries of precedent, as ACB said. She needs to go. I really wish Trump would challenge the auto pen issue and say, everything Joe Biden did is now thrown out. That includes your nomination, KBJ, KJB. I don't even care.
Yeah, KBJ, let's throw her out. Let's put Cannon on there. Oh my God. And I think this is a different quote. But this I think was a different ruling, but I just saw it online. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution. Oh, maybe that is what you read.
Yeah, we read
We
that one.
observe this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. Was that the same quote, or is that a
We read
different
that quote, but we didn't really focus on the last part, and it's so on point. No, Trump, you have constitutional limitations, checks and balances. Oh, and at the same time, we get to make all the rules. Like again, no awareness is a hallmark of leftism here. They're going to say in the same sentence, Trump overreached because he needs to be contained, and the judiciary can have no constraints, and a single person can overrule the entire country. Like you can't hold those two thoughts at the same time.
Oh my gosh. This is spectacular. What a fabulous day. Although, Todd, we got to dive more into this lunatic that Democrats nominated in New York. But we're coming up on the hour, and some of this stuff we talk about, they might get mad at us for on Facebook and YouTube.
They
so do you
would
want to talk
likely
about where people can find us or how they can find us?
Well, folks, one more time here, because we're a big fan of Paul. Paul's a supporter of the show. I'm going to show my mug one more time to Facebook here. But if you go to splitrockcoffee.com, again, that's splitrockcoffee.com, use promo code Todd10, and you can subscribe and save today. And while you're at it, you can support a Minnesota-owned, disabled veteran-owned coffee company. We are all in Minnesota together here. We got to look out for one another. That's why we're supporting Paul, and Paul has supported the show and gifted subscriptions to a lot of our audience, by the way. So thank you for that, Paul. But splitrockcoffee.com, promo code Todd10. And it's fantastic. That's all I'm drinking in the house now. So thank you, Paul, for delivering that. But folks, if you're on Facebook, we are going to cut the feed. We're not going to end the show, but we're cutting the feed here because we're diving into more spicy immigration takes based on the New York City primaries. But you can go to rumble.com to keep watching the show. Rumble.com. Follow the show, like the show, find us at the American Tribune. We're not asking for financial gifts from our audience here, but if you want to find a community of like-minded people, get real truth. I think we have pretty good opinions on these, pretty good takes. If you want to continue watching the show, we are live every Friday, but that's at rumble.com, the American Tribune. And I might have missed something, Jason. Let me know.
I was going to say no, folks. We love having you. We love being on some of these platforms. Some of the things we're going to talk about and say Facebook, YouTube doesn't like. And it's funny. Todd and I were joking before the show because we run multiple Facebook pages, which some of you are watching the show on. My favorite one is President Trump is my wingman, and it is a Facebook page. It was one of the first ones we started with our business. We share content, videos, music, articles, different things. And for a year, it got unpublished. They literally said, "Oh, there's some glitch," and they shut the page down for a year. Now, as business owners, we invested a bunch of money in building that page. Shut down 2 weeks ago. Like, they shut down monetization on the page. Just one day that page, which is part of how we pay our bills. People watching and engaging with that page is part of how we pay our bills. They literally shut down monetization for no reason. We had to appeal. And it's funny. We try not to use Trump's name in many pages. We don't want people to think we are affiliated with President Trump in any way. But it's ironic. The one Trump page, they always like ding. So that's why some of the stuff we talk about, we got to do it on Rumble. Rumble, other than our subscribers and support, isn't the best paying platform. We know it's a different platform than many of you use. A lot of you probably never been on Rumble. You don't even know what it is. We have a boomer audience. Maybe there's technology questions or problems. But the reason we do it is because we can say what we want to say on Rumble, and they don't delete our page. They don't shut down our feeds, any of those things. So with that, we're going to wrap up. 60 seconds later, we'll see you over on the Rumble side. And Facebook, YouTube, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.